Hey guys, Dana here. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Today is Tuesday, February 6th. The year is 2024, according to our current calendar. Everything I'm about to say from this point forward is conspiracy theory, scripted nonsense. You shouldn't pay the least bit of attention to anything I'm saying. Remember, guys, it's all for funsies. It's a little scripted. I hope you don't mind something. It's a departure from the normal, but I had some thoughts this morning that I wanted to get out, and I hope you all can appreciate this silly little story that just one crazy conspiracy theorist wrote this morning. The real pandemic of 2020 was the implosion of our entire socioeconomic support system, a planned demolition. Some might say we 9/11'd ourselves again. Through complacency and a failure to recognize the grift for what it was, the parasite class that seems to rule this realm was able to decimate the support systems that held together this beautiful spider web of lies that we erroneously believed was the American dream. Gone are the days of planning for retirement, instead, thinking darkly that I'm worth more dead than alive by all metrics. This has led me down a dark, bitter path that I'm only now beginning to reckon with. But I'm not the only one. My willingness to be so open about these struggles is what makes me a relatable person for others to talk to about their deepest thoughts. I'm like a beacon, a lighthouse, but in reverse, because I draw in those who are only willing to look at the shadows in the realm we occupy and in their own souls. You all are the real ones. Additionally, this makes me a real joy to be around parties and social gatherings to meet new people. I'm not at all socially awkward. So I know I'm not the only one striding the ruggle bus, maybe riding the struggle bus. That's what you get when it's written at 5 a.m. with no sleep. I'll relate a couple anonymous stories for you, changing some details and names to protect their anonymity as best as possible. But it's fair to say that I know wives, husbands, homemakers, working moms, and even single people in lesser socioeconomic circumstances. And sometimes the darkest place for them to be is in their own head. When people talk to me this way, I find myself having to swallow my own sense of existential dread and find a way to reflect back to them what they see, confirming their suspicions and assuring them that they're not crazy, that the world is dark. This realm is ruled over by a dark force. Some might call it Satan. And this would certainly explain why good, hardworking people cannot possibly work hard enough to get to obscene levels of wealth and fame without having kissed the ring of these demons. A homemaker who had to return to work in a bold and impressive transition that she handled with grace in an effort to save money to move out of a local blue hellhole. Or maybe a single mom who wants to leave but knows she can't leave her children or her partner, financially or otherwise. Leaving your home behind is not easy. Some days it's a decision I truly begin to regret. I get it. Live by the sword, die by the sword is a noble intention, no matter where your geographical location. I wish for peace in all of these cities, especially sanctuary cities. And not to kind of get off track on a little bit of a rant, but the people coming in through the border are from every nation. It's not just Latinos seeking seasonal work, picking berries to send money back home to their families. We're talking about countries that openly practice dark arts. It doesn't matter if you don't believe in it because they do. Watch your kids like hawks in these places and the counties that surround it. Philadelphia, I'm looking at you. Thankfully, I'm surrounded by good, strong men who can support me to stay home for now. But even I'm looking into part time work because the costs here are too great, our house too old, and my body too sick to help much more. I know a father trying to support his wife and child in a country that I formerly thought of as being very, very liberal. But as it turned out, it was NWO stomping grounds, and they During the pandemic, they had bank accounts suddenly frozen mysteriously after speaking out on a public figure. The government doesn't care if you have mouths to feed. They just don't. My own husband, a skilled, qualified gentleman who's been in the trades for 25 plus years, there's just the hmm, the prices are not enough. It's the hourly rate of pay. I don't know how people are surviving here making $12 an hour and trying to raise a family. It's just not feasible. One of our daughters has celiac disease, which is an autoimmune condition, and we try to buy safe food for her. But take a walk down your local gluten-free aisle and you'll notice, like we have in the last 10 years, that the price is about 40% more for a package that is about 75% of the size of regular food. The food budget is a disgrace, and it's hard to see him so actively being demoralized at our prospects for the future by this planned financial implosion coupled with the pandemic so that they can usher in digital ID, as was already outlined by the controllers that we're allowed to see. We're not even talking like 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati stuff. I'm talking about your Klaus Schwab, who wrote like a huge 400-page book called The Great Reset. And yet you'll get some kind of notice if you post this on YouTube about the Great Reset being a conspiracy theory. I mean, it's just a big book, and they say they're going to do this. This is what's happening. This is what we see. But is all this just an excuse? I don't know, because the more I research, the more convinced than ever I've become that it's real in a way most people don't have the moral fortitude to bear. The world hierarchy map discussion on my channel a few days ago will show all of us where we land in the grand scheme of things. If I knew how to link it in the end screen, I would. But where do we go from here? Well, for one, if I didn't believe that we could rise up and defeat certain harmful agendas like depopulation via abortion and fertility limiting, hokey pokeys, starvation, pestilence, unaliving oneself, I wouldn't both write all this and spend my time trying to make sense of all of this. But there's nobility in seeking truth and sharing truth. The collective can still be a good grassroots effort, a force for good. And the old adage, many hands make light work, is certainly true in parenting and homemaking and in the rebuilding of society. Many are so demoralized by this system that they prefer to sit back and await a messianic figure to come back and save us, but I don't think he's coming. Growing up Catholic and converting to Christianity leaves me also in a place to sit back and view the teaching with a truly objective eye. And the lie has been crafted by the same dark figures who practice dark arts, the higher echelons of these societies. Coming soon, I've started to look into these higher order societies, and there's not much to find out because it's obviously locked down pretty tight on the internet. There are a few, though, who've spoken out after leaving, and usually they die by mysterious or unusual circumstances. By coincidence, coinciditis, as my friend Matt says. Secondly, finding my faith again over time has been a journey, but I see a happy future in our country if we, the people, begin to ask more questions at school board meetings, Board of Health, City Council. You begin to realize it's a house of cards, and as they lose legitimacy, their tyrannical hold over every aspect of our existence, from birth through death, will begin to fall away like the dead, useless institutions they are. Growth always comes after death and rebirth. But we must hold on in the meantime, because it's going to get worse before it's going to get better. And next time I'll try to have breakfast before I start writing. Maybe I won't be so bitchy and bitter. But sometimes I think releasing these emotions is cathartic. And so I hope it was somehow helpful for you as well. Please like, share, subscribe, follow if you're interested in more scripted and unscripted. I have something coming up soon about parents in, I want to say, Montana, whose child was removed by CPS and placed in a home for transgender youth. So, like, I think the title of that one is going to be reason 594 why you should homeschool your children and keep them as far away out of the government's grasp as possible. Because if I had to do it over again, not medical advice, allegedly for entertainment purposes only, I would have never registered for the Social Security card like the Amish do. You know, every religion has its own cult-like dysfunction. But the Amish are doing something right, because if the shit really hits the fan, they're going to be the ones that make it. My word, what a crazy day it's been. Please comment down below if there are any topics that interest you from what I've touched on here. And if you have any interest in sharing your own story from the perspective of somebody that's been involved in when I say secret societies, I know that anyone can join something like the Freemasons or perhaps even the Shriners. But when we get into the upper echelons of stay within the Catholic Church, we have the Jesuit orders. You can't not just anyone can go there, and there are secrets there that are darker than people really want to be cognizant of. But I like to take a deep dive into those dark topics. I kind of write it all out. I get all those feelings out, and then I can kind of move on with my day and start making hamburgers for dinner and moving on to the next piece of business for the day. So I'm going to cover that Montana story soon, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Thanks a lot for your time.